Greetings once more, ladies and gents. Merry Christmas. It's been quite the year for you and I, so I believe it was right to slow things down and give my screaming a break. He's gone! Horror aside, it's time that we take the knee and slow things down a bit, getting comfortable, relaxing yourselves, grab some snacks, and for I have a story to tell. Let me tell you a story of Gris. It's like a dream. Upon her awakening, laid Gris in the palm of her solitude. Her healing chime echoed through the realm, burden was lifted from her shoulders, she sang with passion and anointed love. Finally, peace and comfort. Suddenly the rubble began to crumble beneath her. Her own voice began to fail her. In her denial of her strength, it diminished. Mustering to what was left of her remains, she struggled to grasp for what was left of her haven, her solitude. Everything was there, but it was all taken. She refused to leave what was left until she fell and she fell and she fell into the abyss. Nothing but an empty void. She mustered as much strength as she could, trying to push forward. She was confused, racked with grief, no direction to go. But all she could do now was just walk, and walk, and walk. Her directions meant nothing to her, but her goals and ambitions did not. It was clear to her now. She went to the pale tombs, rigid rocks, and the forgotten debris. Angered crimson slopes attesting Gris's ambitions. The scorched giant kept up with Gris, curiously. The gleeful plains and the crimson roots. The welcome spirits aided Gris throughout, brought guidance and companionship. The rainy passages grew narrow, and gloomy caverns shallow, but a surreal gift of plantation was at sight. She swam through endless seas, leaving sigils of light for her accomplishments, searching for what was lost. In doing so, redeemed her once forgotten solitude. Her aura began to flood the realm once more. The starry nights glimmered brighter. Determination flooded the steps of her own tranquility. The forts of resurgent welcomed her and accomplished her returns. The ends were nigh, but the lion preyed on Gris, focusing on her soul to fester and to test her trials and tribulations, struggling to avoid the grasp of Gris and to outpace this ink of doubt. So throughout the shadow of despair, the ink grew stronger in many forms, taunting and testing her iron will, taking advantage of her gifts and aiding the wicked. It festers into a tumor of great pain and grief that shall never leave Gris, a shadow of hollow husk of her incompetence. The ink cackled. But Gris was stronger, and it was time. After the efforts that come to pass out from the voids of her doubt, so emerged the strongest flames, forging the mightiest sword, as you may call it, the harmony of healing. Gris was now prepared. She made haste down the wishful slopes, reaching her goals further and further. Finally, she can go back to her home, her own solitude. However, the greatest clash in chivalry awaited. The greatest force that stood against her was her own image. Self-hatred, guilt, grief, sorrow, and hopeless dreams stood in front of her very eyes. The shriek was greater than Gris, tearing reality, tainting the realm. Falling once more. Frozen once more. Emerging into the tomb, she was left with the tools she needed. All she had to do was climb higher. And higher. And higher. She sang with all of her heart's content, all of her ambitions and willpower, rebuilding the shattered remains for a slim chance of hope left. The heart was being rebuilt, slowly but surely attending to the wounds for what was lost, chiming her melody with every bit of strength. The ink rushed quickly, the roaring despair grew near, and the melody became heavier. Her self-doubt grew, but she declined her fate. She used a voice of healing to attend to the wounds faster. Courage and adrenaline rushed the ink, and the despair flooded the entire scene. Mustering all of her might and healing, her solitude was being rebuilt. All of her goals and her trials, harsh judgment, regret, hatred flooded the scene. With one last tune from her vocals, the ink and melody clashed voices. Until the voice striked the ink away and returned. The air was finally cleared and the light was holy. The plains grew with passion. The forests healed. The temples cleansed the voids, emerging a world of peace, comfort, a new hope, tranquility, happiness, and resurrection. And finally, her solitude. And that was the tale of Gris. Seeing that you're still here, how was the story? Was it good? Meh? Mid? Well, I can't hear you, so I'll take the silence that you liked it. Or you said something, but I didn't hear it. Anyways, whatever, rambling aside, it was a simple tale of grief. And damn well, the whole topic of triumphing grief and sorrow is pretty much beaten to death at this point. But I know it's a nicely written piece of art. 3 hours in, and I already beat the game. And damn, ladies and gents, I couldn't describe the level and feeling of just spectating art. The amount of effort and detail is phenomenal. Gris was perfect for a soothing, relaxing journey. It's definitely an experience to immerse yourself and to relax with. And well, this is why we're here. Without taking enough of your time, I thank you all for having an absolute, exquisite, brilliant year on YouTube. Thank you all so much. Like, I really do mean it. I don't take anything I've done for granted. I'm glad you made yourself comfortable at the end of this video. And with all that being said, and finally, ladies and gents, you all have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas morning, afternoon, or night. And I tip my hat to you all. Once more, have a merry, merry Christmas. And stay tuned for next year.